Thank you for joining our show today, guys. We got some bombshell news today that we have known for a long time. Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche on 2020 says that there is tons of evidence that the election was rigged. Guys, this is coming from the sitting Attorney General Todd Blanche saying we have multiple evidence, multiple investigations are going on in Arizona, Fulton County, Georgia. We're looking at everything and we are winning. Guys, this right here just shows you as we prepare to go to the midterms, they are on it. If we are already hearing right now that they have tons of evidence that the 2020 election was rigged, how much more are we going to be prepared for the midterms, baby? Because not only that, we are cleaning house. Bill Cassidy just lost his primary to a MAGA Republican. Cassidy, who voted to convict and impeach Trump, has an F on his Liberty score, meaning that he votes almost half of the time with Democrats to support their agenda, and now he's gone. We are gonna get the red wave, guys. We're gonna get some MAGA Republicans in there. Put it in the chat. Let's get it started, everybody. What a win. A lot of people, guys, are about to be primaried out of their seats. Put it in the chat, guys. Hashtag red wave, baby. This is what we need to see. This is what everybody needs to see because we're not stopping the fight. When we look at all across the United States, guys, the Democrats are doing everything that they can to try and cheat, rig the system. We have California Democrats right now are trying to rig the governor's race. Democrats are putting forth a new ballot just months before the election because guess what? The top two candidates rule that takes the two leading candidates in the California governor's race just happen to be Republicans. So now they're trying to change the rule because there's no Democrats at the top. This is explicitly showing you guys where they stand. We're going to bring you all the receipts today because we are only getting started. They tried to do it in Virginia. They're trying to do it in California. Nobody wants their policies. So now we're moving forward and just boom, guys. We are hammering them with the truth. With all the fraud, waste, and abuse, J.D. Vance just exposed that the government gives out $7 billion to California for food stamp benefits, and we don't know a single recipient of those food stamps. All these blue states that are trying to cover up and protect individuals, illegals, people that aren't supposed to be here, giving them taxpayer benefits, now everybody's getting to see it. The average American who has common sense to say, wow, how can you give out billions, hundreds of billions of dollars and not know where the money is going? There's problem with that. There is fraud with that. Because guess what, guys? I'm telling you, today is huge. All the evidence we are finally getting, we've been wanting for a long time. This is what's going to get us our red wave. Put it in the chat, guys. Hashtag red wave, baby. The Feeding Our Future founder, the person who orchestrated the Minnesota, all the money that came in, that was all stolen by Somalis. Listen to this, guys. The founder of Feeding Our Future made a bombshell statement that at the center of all this massive $250 million of COVID meal fraud scandal, she is now saying that Representative Ilhan Omar helped create the environment that allowed for all the stealing to happen and to thrive. She knew about it. That's why Ilhan Omar hasn't said anything. The founder of this horrible, just fraudulent Feeding Our Future organization, the founder is now calling out the Representative Ilhan Omar, guys. Put it in the chat. Is it time to see some handcuffs? Is it time to see some arrest? Because it's one thing right after another. And that's all happening, guys, what I love right here in America. But right now, we just learned across the seas, Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones and has begun discussing plans to attack the U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay, U.S. military vessels, and possibly Key West, Florida. This is per Axios, guys. This is coming from Cuba, who's now making threats against the United States of America. What should we do with them, everybody? Put it in the chat. I want to see it. What should we do with the country of Cuba, who barely can keep their lights on, threatening to militarily strike the United States of America? It ain't happening. Right now, guys, we are on the verge of starting back this Iran war because Iran has reportedly caused a nuclear power plant fire in the UAE by drone attacks, a significant big attacks that is likely going to start the Iranian war again. The ceasefire essentially is broken with this statement. U.S. officials say President Trump is expected to convene with his top national security team in the Situation Room to discuss the military options on Iran. They've taken it too far, guys. They just won't stop. President Trump also spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu about the situation in Iran and how to coordinate a joint attack. So again, guys, what we're seeing across the board, I can't believe Cuba's making these statements. Iran won't stop the fighting. But what I love is that what's happening here at home with J.D. Vance, Todd Blanche, calling out and actually exposing everything that everybody's known for a long, long, long time. We got evidence, baby, and we're going to show it to you today. If you're watching, guys, if you're not part of the family yet, hit that subscribe button so that we can take care of you every day with the breaking news. And thank you to everybody that shares our videos on X, on Facebook. Thank you so much for all your support. If you haven't already, guys, hit the thumbs up like button. Thank you so much for helping us grow our family. And thank you to everybody that supports our channel and your giving. When you give on this channel on the 22nd of every single month, we're donating live on stream to a local charity to support these local children's homes, local crisis pregnancy centers, and to help make a difference. Thank you so much to all those that have given. Show some special love to Alan Demeen. Show Alan some love in the chat. Yvonne Criado, Deborah Crumby. Thank you so much for all your blessings, everybody. And don't forget our friends at Chapter, guys. This is one of an amazing company, partner with us, that is truly helping out individuals with Medicare, getting the best Medicare coverage. Guys, we know it's complicated. We know there's over 24,000 plans out there. It makes no sense why it's as hard as it is. But what I love is that our friends at Chapter do this for free. They hook you up. They make sure that you get the best coverage, saving people thousands and thousands of dollars in annual healthcare savings. Guys, that's hundreds of dollars a month, real money in your pocket. Call them up, 667-895-3015. Tell them that your boy Joel sent you from TrueLife News so that you can be taken care of. Because I'm telling you, keep more of your hard-earned money. Don't just give it away. They're going to help you out for free. And guys, give some special love to Alice Lewis in the chat. Let's go. Show Alice, OG of the fam, some love in the chat. Our boy Richard, PDX67, some love in the chat. Guys, we are about to head into extending this war with Iran. They've taken it to the next level. We're not holding back. Listen to this, because I'm telling you, Trump ain't backing down. We tried to do it the nice way. Listen to what's coming next.
Here. Absolutely. You know, General, do you want to get in Israel here? Israel and the United States reportedly preparing to resume combat operations against Iran as soon as this week after peace talks stall. You know, General, the Iranian regime is built for resilience. So how do you break a regime under that scenario?
Well, you kill them, number one.
Ooh.
You take away their military capability, number two, and you break their will as a result of it. And we're going to do all of that. We had 2 weeks left in the campaign. We're going to execute that. It's a combined campaign, U.S. and Israel. We'll go right back after the IRGC and what sustains the regime. The weapon systems that we haven't destroyed are certainly going to be on the table. The remnants of whatever nuclear elements are left. And then we're going to take down every revenue source that they have and put this regime on a path to not just military defeat, but economic collapse. You know, that's what we'll see, and then we'll open up the Straits of Hormuz as well.
Real quick before we go, we've taken out many of their leaders, as you pointed out, kill them, take them out, which is what we've done. But we've also taken out a lot of the leaders who can make decisions and enforce those decisions from a diplomatic standpoint. Do you think, is diplomacy dead with Iran?
Well, I think President Trump has exercised an enormous amount of strategic patience here. He was given some indications that these guys were willing to make a deal, and he's given them 5+ weeks to come forward with something. And obviously what they were doing, their objective was, I think, to delay, not to make a deal. And the president has ran out of patience. I don't think there's any deal to be made here. And the problem I've always had with the deal, even if the deal is perfect, what we do with any deal is we have to give them money to adhere to what they want in the deal. They want their frozen assets to be given to them. That's $100 billion. They want sanctions removed. If we ever did that, what are we really doing? The regime not only survives, but we wind up financing their recovery.
Well, that's a good point.
So that's why they're interested. That's why they're interested in a deal. They don't just want to survive. They want to be able to recover.
We
and we're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point. General, that President Trump's close.
And I'm telling you, everybody, we cannot let this happen. The attacks that they just did on the UAE, attacking these nuclear plants, it is, now we are trying to keep it cool, trying to hold back, but guess what? Trump is expected to hold a situation room meeting to discuss options for military actions on Iran. It's like they won't stop. Something inside of them is like they continue to just test. And now you hear them. How do you do it? You got to take them out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because it's not only them. Look at this right here, guys. Showing you what I'm showing you on the screen is mind-blowing for me right now. I cannot believe that Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones and has begun discussing plans to attack U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay, U.S. military vessels, and possibly Key West, Florida. Could you imagine attacks that close to America? That's big, everybody. And look, we're bringing the receipts, guys. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. The details include the threat is being described as potential pretext for U.S. military action. CIA Director John Ratcliffe traveled to Cuba on Thursday and warned officials against engaging in hostilities. More U.S. sanctions against Cuba could be announced this week, and U.S. intelligence says that Cuba has been acquiring attack drones of varying capabilities from Russia and Iran since 2023. Key West is only 90 miles away north of Cuba, so it's pretty close, everybody. This is something that could potentially happen. Jim Barbado, let's go, brother, with the super chat. I love it. Show our brother Jim some love in the chat, as well as Brad Price for membership for 5 months, baby. Let's go. Show Brad and Jim some love in the chat, everybody. This is a big one too, guys, because again, we are moving full steam ahead. The military action that we're taking, that we're about to take back in Iran because of all these continued attacks, again, just shows that we cannot make a deal. We're not coming to any common ground with Iran, with them attacking the UAE. This is just big. And again, we have to do something. But guys, I wanted to show you this piece next because the amount of fraud, waste, and abuse that is coming out, the amount that is being circulated now, that we now know that Russia, China, and even Cuba have been stealing from us through all these Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP programs. You're about to see it right here. Guys, show Jamie D8M some love in the chat. Let's go. Check this out.
Absolutely. We are learning so much. It seems like practically everything that the government has touched or created, there has been fraud. Obviously, Vice President J.D. Vance, the fraud czar, out there talking about this. Mehmet Oz at Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It seems like it has infected practically everything. Has it?
It would seem so. I mean, whether or not you're looking at hospice fraud in California, home health care fraud in Ohio, looking at the children's, food programs up in Minnesota, fraud is rampant. And you're seeing it especially in blue states where governors and where their state bureaucrats have been hiding it. And now that the federal government is going in and they are uncovering the fraud, waste, and abuse, you would expect that they would jump on this, that they would be upset to see that, especially in their state, that these dollars are being wasted, that these dollars are being stolen away, from people who really need those resources. But instead, they sit here and they basically are trying to defend the fraud, deny the fraud, and keep it going. And then you got to start asking yourself, why? Is it because they've got friends who are owing these NGOs or who are doing it? Because these are somehow their base of voters? But, I would expect that every single American would be so frustrated that their dollars are going places that they're not. And for every single dollar that is wasted, it's stolen, those are dollars that are not going to the people who need them in Medicare and Medicaid, in our SNAP benefits.
And just think about that, guys. We're not talking about small dollar amounts. This is one of the most biggest statements, bombshell statements. We have the evidence, we have the whistleblower that we have ever shown on this channel. Ilhan Omar, the person who was in contact with all the Somalis that had committed fraud, the Feeding Our Future founder, has now accused Omar of enabling the COVID fraud. Their whole base is crumbling right now, guys, right before their very eyes. This was reported out by Newsmax, guys, that a convicted figure at the center of the Minnesota's $250 million COVID meal fraud scandal is now alleging Ilhan Omar helped create the environment that allowed the scheme to thrive. This is what we're doing right now, guys, and I hope you appreciate this. The people that need to be kicked out, they're getting gone. Look at this. Louisiana closes Senate primary immediately and fires the rhino Bill Cassidy. Now, I don't know if you like Bill Cassidy or not, but you know what I don't like? I don't like the receipts that he has. Look at this right here. This is Bill Cassidy's Liberty Score. This determines how much he votes with conservatives or liberals. And boom, F, right there. 55%, black and white. You cannot deny this. He's the same guy who voted to convict President Trump. So when I'm showing you all these receipts, guys, it doesn't matter essentially when it comes to an opinion, and it matters what is. How did they vote? What were their actions? And do they deserve to be on the MAGA team, the Make America Great Again team? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Guys, show Mary Busby some love in the chat. Let's go, Mary. Give Mary some love in the chat. Jim Barbato with the super chats. Let's go, brother. Give some love to Common Sense Nick. Let's go. Hey, I love it, guys. Y'all give some beautiful super chats. Say kind words. We love and appreciate y'all. God bless you so much. But, guys, these are the receipts. So this guy's out now. He is gone. And another person. Let me tell you this, guys. If Trump doesn't want you in Congress, it gets really hard to win in Congress. Look at this right here. We have Ed Galhern, who has surpassed Thomas Massie in the Kentucky for Republican primary odds. 54% chance of winning. Look at this. Thomas Massie at 47. Now you got Ed Galhern at 54. Trump's guy. So what does this tell you guys? It's telling you that we are about to see a huge shakeup in the Republican Party. And all I'm going to say is it's about dang time. It is about dang time that we get true America first. Take care of our citizens. Take care of our seniors. No more wasteful spending. No more of this giving money to all these other countries while the United States suffers. No more. No more. I'm done with it. And I just thank everybody that supports that. No more rhinos. Vote them out. Thank you so much, Al Young, with the super chat. Let's go, baby. Show Al Young some love in the chat. Thank y'all so much for your support. That's why what you're hearing here is so important.
In other entitlement programs, and we should all be frustrated with that. Look, there's a number of different programs that allow folks to come into our country to get jobs, to get an education that they are supposed to be valuable to our, American businesses. We want them to have the brightest of the brightest. We want them to be able to have these geniuses that we are found in various areas of the world with different experiences. That is what the H-1B visa program was created. It was to bring those very few exceptions, those unique talents into our country. But what we have found is, again, every government program, can be abused, has a loophole in it, and it has metastasized now to such a degree that we are seeing American workers being displaced. We are seeing people brought over that don't even qualify for the jobs that they are filling. In most cases, in some cases that you're seeing being uncovered, they don't even have jobs. They're just basically the creation of a title, and it is a scam. And so when I saw that North Texas, had some of the largest numbers of HB1 visas, but they were not working. They were at locations that in some cases had hundreds of people, but not even, a business that was located at that address. You have to start asking yourself, what are we doing? How are we uncovering this? And I don't have the ability in my office to be able to investigate it. So what I did was I joined forces with Ronnie Jackson, with Pat Fallon, and with Brandon Gill, and we wrote a letter to the Trump administration asking, Homeland Security and some of these other agencies to investigate. We need these agencies working together to enforce this law, to enforce what the program is supposed to be meant, and not to have the abuses. We also want them sharing data with each other and to look at this program and figure out what are the loopholes and what is the legislative fix, because that's what we need to be able to provide to make sure that it does not continue.
One key word, guys, in everything that she just said: loopholes. Constant loopholes of where congressional leaders get rich, NGOs get rich, and who always suffers? The American taxpayer. Constantly getting screwed over. More taxes. Guys, let me tell you this. I talked to somebody who said that in Virginia, with all the new taxes, they have to pay a property tax on their car that they drive every single year. And they said, look, I don't even drive a really huge expensive car, but I got to pay $2,000 every single year to drive my car in Virginia. Like, is that really the world that you want to live in, everybody? Everything you own, everything that you've already paid taxes on when you bought the car, you still got to pay taxes on? That's why this is so important. That's why the midterms are so important. That's why, guys, let's put it in the chat again. We have to have a red wave. We've got to get away, make government smaller, and win more for the average American. Guys, look at this post right here. Trump has now called out Lauren Boebert. Like, I am blown out of my mind how everybody from Lauren Boebert to Thomas Massey to Marjorie Taylor Greene, there is so many people that have literally, if you would have asked 4 years ago, they were 100% Trump, 100% MAGA, now gone. Now Trump is going after them, primarying them. And what you're about to hear next, guys, this is so big because, again, too, this is where we are cleaning house big time. Show Mike Hagstrom some love in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much, Mike. Our boy Jim Barbato, love you too, brother. Show our brother Jim some love in the chat. Let's go, baby. Show Jim some love in the chat. Mike Hagstrom, thank you so much to all those that have given. Mary Busby, Common Sense Nick, guys, all these amazing people. Show them some love in the chat, because what you're hearing next, guys, I'm telling you, we are cleaning house.
About how Donald Trump's popularity is down, and so the midterms are going to be bad for the candidates that he is backing. So what happened in Louisiana last night?
Well, Peter, here's the way I see it. Unless you're God's perfect idiot, the result was predictable.
Yep.
Ground control to Major Tom. The polls have shown for well over a year that Senator Cassidy was in trouble. I think the president's endorsement of Congresswoman Letlow was sort of the icing on the cake. Bill knew that, but he decided to run anyway. I respect that. I thank him for his service. He was very gracious in his concession speech.
Let me tell you this, guys, because I do want to clean that up for you in just a moment. I'm going to show you again. It's one thing to be kind. It's another thing to say, hey, guess what? Look at your score right here. What you said you were going to do, when you talked about doing what was best for America, when you talked about all the things of doing what was best, You got an F and you were not conservative. You literally voted almost half of the time with the people that are essentially completely opposite of you. And you want to say that this was a part of doing what was right and serving the American people and putting America first? Like, guys, please let me know your thoughts, because this is the type of stuff that really bothers me when it comes to, I don't care what you say, I care what you do. Now, I'm going to clean up that video in just a moment for you guys, but I wanted to do this as well. I wanted to show you that the people that are leading the charge, President J.D. Vance and so many others, that we're finally getting to see evidence that we've never seen before. This is groundbreaking. Listen to this.
Attorney General Todd Blanche is working with us. He's doing a great job. Is normally it would take, you discover the fraud in Minneapolis, it would take 6 months to go from that discovery to any kind of legal process. We served 22 subpoenas 2 months after that fraud ring was discovered in Minneapolis at the federal level. We're investigating this stuff aggressively. Again, we're not the Biden administration. We don't prejudge the outcome, but I guarantee, unless something crazy is going on, I guarantee there's going to be some criminal wrongdoing that we're going to find, because there's so much wrongdoing. Somebody had to know what they were doing.
Staying once more on the topic of prosecutions, there's also a 2019 report from the Office of the Inspector General in Minnesota that is Tim Walz's time, and there's a whistleblower report in there, and the whistleblower said this. He was an investigator. He said it is a near certainty that at least a percentage of the fraud proceeds in Minnesota go overseas and are being siphoned off by one or more designated terrorist organizations. John Yoo, who worked in the Bush DOJ, told me that this should be given to the DOJ Counterterrorism and National Security Division. We need to know who transferred the money, if was anyone aiding and abetting, because that could be material support for terrorism. Is that the level of detail that you expect this administration
Absolutely.
to look at?
That's a great idea. I haven't heard that, but we will immediately take that to the team, because that should be a counterterrorism investigation.
Yes.
And this drives home something that I've loved about working on this fraud task force is, yeah, we've got a lot of resources and we're working very hard on this. Some of the best stuff, whether it's Nick Shirley or whether it's you raising that with me, citizens have a role to play in this. And we've actually set up a fraud hotline where people can call in and suggest that maybe they're seeing things that are not totally above board, because to fix this problem, it's so deep-seated, it's so broad. We actually need everybody to raise this stuff. We need citizen journalists. We need, Fox News reporters. We need everybody to be asking ourselves the question, how do we root out this fraud? Because it's hard to fathom. You pay your taxes and it goes to a terrorist when your country is trying to prevent those terrorists from killing your fellow Americans. It is shocking, but it's the sort of thing that happens when the federal government turns a blind eye to this stuff.
It's stunning, and to know about that since 2019. Has Governor Gavin Newsom contacted you to assist you?
I think the only contact we've had with Gavin Newsom so far is him telling us that we're not allowed to stop the fraud, or in fact trying to sue us to stop the fraud. So no, we have not had a positive relationship with Gavin Newsom on this. But Kaylee, I say this with all transparency. I would love for that to change. I would love it if Gavin Newsom had a come to Jesus moment and said, you know what, I'm going to take this fraud issue seriously, because we would work with him. We've said that to everybody, Democrat or Republican. We want to work with you to root out the fraud, but you've actually got to help us out. Let me give you another crazy example. Do you know, I didn't know this until a couple of months ago, so no shame, that when your government gives out, let's say, $7 billion to California for food stamp benefits, it doesn't know a single recipient of those food stamps. Not a one, because it's block granted to the states, and then we trust the states that they're going to police fraud themselves. We have not gotten any help from Gavin Newsom or a number of other blue states when we're trying to police to make sure that dead people don't get SNAP benefits, to make sure that these food benefits go to low-income kids. That's what they're there for, not to fraudsters. We'd love to have that cooperation, but so far, not yet.
And final question.
And I want to show you this too, guys, because I'm telling you, you cannot trust what is going on when it comes to blue states. And trust me, I know there's a lot of fraud in red states as well. Newsom hands wife a $12.5 million no-bid diaper contract. No bid means that usually when you have a job, you bid it out, means that you'll listen to 3, 4, 5, 6 people who all give you a price, and then based upon whoever's giving you the best price and the best services, that's who you go with. When it's no bid, it means that they directly handed them this project, this job, And it was all discussed prior. So you're telling me Newsom handing his wife a $12.5 million no-bid diaper contract. They plan to give 400 free diapers to every California parent, regardless of income, routing all this money through his wife's NGO at 3 to 5 times the price of a Amazon price on diapers. And now he's asking the legislator to waive the competitive bidding so that way we can actually have something that he has that's easier for them. You tell me what is like common sense that looks like fraud. If it looks like fraud, smells like fraud, probably is fraud. They're investigating this. To me, it's happening so many times. And the guys, let me tell you this. If this isn't the number one thing that shows you that the Democratic Party are so backwards, here are 4 Republicans, Black Americans, Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt, John James, and Burgess Owens. Would you believe that these 4 individuals are voted in by predominantly white districts? And at the same time, they're not allowed, and they've been rejected from the Black Caucus in Congress. You cannot make this stuff up. Because they're Republicans, because they were voted out of primarily white districts, they're not allowed to be in the Black Caucus in Congress because they won't be able to represent the Black American like everybody else. This is why, again, when I'm showing you this stuff, the receipts matter, everybody. What's happening in Florida or New York with all the fraud, the red states are complying, blue states are not complying. JD Vance is in on it. And if you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, it's one thing right after another. Listen to this.
Walz contacted you?
No, Tim Walz has not contacted me. I did see that he took credit when we did those 22 subpoenas that I mentioned, that the investigations that we're doing for the anti-fraud stuff in Minneapolis. Tim Walz did take credit for it, even though Tim Walz has not helped us at all. We've gotten some cooperation from local authorities, but from the governor's office, we really haven't gotten that cooperation. Again, we'd love to have it. This is so much easier when we work, whether it's a blue or red state, when we have the governors cooperating with us, and we do have that in some places. It goes a lot quicker, but we're going to go after fraud regardless if people are helping us or not.
Easier about addressing fraud from the back end with arrests, but how do you intend to address it through the front end? I know you've mentioned AI as a component.
So all the agencies are supposed to have anti-fraud prevention systems in place. The Biden administration turned a lot of those off and let them languish. And what we were able to do, basically sort of like building on the DOGE effort, is work with these agencies with the data that they have, the data that other agencies have, and publicly available data, and build technological solutions, most of which are AI-driven, that can take all of these data. And so when a claims payment request comes in, basically AI puts up a flag and says, very likely fraudulent. And all of the agencies have administrative authority to withhold those payments until they know that this is a real person that's actually qualifying for this request. If you have to do that by hand, if you have to have individuals go out and figure all these out, the money just goes out the door, and then you have to get DOJ to chase it, and they can't get it all back. So using these advanced automated technological solutions, that's the way you supercharge the effort, and you keep the money in the agencies rather than watching it go out the door, chasing it. And the reality is, we've learned in this process, so much of this money that goes out the door leaves the country. It goes into the hands of like an immigrant here in America, and they send it to another country, including Somalia. That is why this is so important. It's got to stay in the agency, and AI is supercharging this.
Do you see this, guys? Again, and this is where I really appreciate it, everybody. When you like our videos, you share our videos, you help us win. Because every single turn that we are showing you, they are doing anything and everything to try and steal and rig the elections. Case in point right here. If you didn't know, right now in California, there is 2 top candidates, regardless of race. Whether they be blue or red, California Democrats hate it right now because the top 2 Democrats are Republicans. So guess what? In the Republican runoff with the governorship, you're going to get a Republican because the top 2 candidates are Republican. That's what we're seeing right here. But now Democrats are putting forth a new ballot initiative to repeal the top two candidate rule that takes the two leading candidates. Remember, regardless, it could be, if it was two Democrats, they'd be fine. They'd be happy with it. Nobody would say anything about it. But because it's two Republicans right here, the two leading candidates are Republicans, now they're trying to change the law again. So you're seeing it here, guys, right here on the screen. Their effort to repeal the top two primary. 61 candidates for governor in this year's open primary could lead to two candidates from the same party in November. Well, guess what? If it was Democrats, they'd be happy as all get out. But now it's Republicans. So you tell me, after me showing you these things, how many more times the Democrats change, move, gerrymander, rig, break the law in order to try to get their candidate in place, even whenever the public, we the people, say we don't want the Democrats anymore. We want Republicans that are going to be conservative. Check this out. And again, with all the money going out, all that makes me so mad. Keep it here in the United States.
Dr. Oz has spoken about foreign governments getting taxpayer money. He's talked about the Cuban government in Florida. He's talked about the Russian mafia. What have you seen?
We've definitely seen a number of foreign governments. We've seen foreign terrorist organizations potentially benefiting from these resources. But oftentimes, yeah, it's somebody who will take money fraudulently from the federal government, let's say an illegal alien from Central America, and then send it back to a drug cartel or send it back to a sex trafficking ring. So it's, again, what I always try to remind people is there are so many layers of victims. There are the taxpayers who are being fleeced. There are these programs that are not getting, people cannot access these programs to get the benefits that they have earned. But all at the same time, you've got the worst people in the world sometimes who are getting money from the American taxpayer. It's funding drug trafficking in Central America instead of ensuring that a low-income kid gets the food they need. It's insane, but it's something, again, that we allowed to happen for too long under the Biden administration. And now, thanks to the president, we've turned it back on, we've flipped the switch, and we're taking this stuff seriously in a way we never have before in the federal government.
Yeah, the pot.
I mean, tell me, guys, does this make sense? What you are about to hear from DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullins. I always want to say something different. Listen to this and tell me, does the average American, does common sense what it tells you when you hear what he's about to say?
Programs is where we have local law enforcement that partner with federal to get these criminals off the streets like this. And you just use Fairfax, Virginia, for example. Roughly 50% of the murders in Fairfax, Virginia is the perps are illegal, shouldn't even be in the country to begin with. That's just in Fairfax. You think of.
You heard that? In Fairfax County, Virginia, who just voted in Spanberger, and they've added in 50 new laws for more taxes on people. 50% of the murders in Fairfax County, Virginia, are being committed by illegals. Can you believe that? Coming from DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullins, 50%, half of the murders are being committed by people that shouldn't even be there in the country. Where does it make sense? And this is why, again, too, every step of the way that we're fighting this, we know, guys, that our country's been stolen. Our country's been rigged. We're hearing more and more things like from Attorney General Todd Blanche over what happened during the 2020 election. And it gets even worse. Listen to this.
Because recently Susie Wiles, the president's chief of staff, made an interesting comment that a lot of our audience was perked up about. And here's what she said. Watch this.
We had a lovely dinner, and at the end of it, he wanted to know why he won Florida, but maybe struggled in some other states that I think we're going to find out he actually did win. But I wrote like an after-action report, gave it to him to read.
She just said that we're going to find out that President Trump actually did win certain states in the 2020 election. Now, the president says all the time that the election was rigged. What have you done about that? Do you have any evidence that the election was rigged? What can you tell us?
Well, there's a ton of evidence that the election was rigged. That's not something the DOJ needs to tell you about. There's been evidence about that for many, many years. What I can tell you is that we have multiple investigations going on in Arizona, in Georgia, in Fulton County, Georgia, and that's exactly what we're looking at. By the way, this is very difficult because they're very good. They're very good at hiding up misconduct and hiding what they're doing. And so that's why we're very focused on finding out whether the right people voted, whether people who were supposed to vote voted, whether there was one vote cast per voter. And that's what we're doing in multiple states. And I expect, and again, people, you'll say to me, how long is it taking? Why is it taking so long? And the reality, the answer to that is because it takes a lot of work to uncover what happened in 2020. It takes a lot of old, good old-fashioned law enforcement police work, which is what we're doing, and we have great prosecutors working on it as well. And I expect that, and I assure the American people that as soon as we have something to say for it, whether it's charges, whether it's a report, whether it's the results of an investigation, the American people will learn about what we've uncovered.
Yeah, so in other words, what you're saying is that you have in fact seen evidence that people voted who should not have voted, whether it be through mail-in ballots, ballots coming from empty parking lots or dead people, whatever, or from illegals. Is that what you're suggesting?
Maria, during the Biden administration, they didn't charge a single individual with illegally voting. Just last year, we charged dozens, and we're investigating a ton more. And so that's exactly what I'm saying. We know that there were people who voted who were not eligible to vote. We've charged some of them. We've charged some of them in the past year. We're investigating a ton more right now. And so that's the tip of the iceberg of what we're doing. Okay. But yes, I can flat out say, because of that yes, that happened.
All right, so you believe there will be, at some point, a definitive answer to whether or not the 2020 election was stolen?
I'm not going to promise there's going to be a definitive answer. That wouldn't be fair to you or anybody else, but we are looking at it and we're hoping to get one.
Todd?
Let me tell you this, guys. I know that they're always worried about, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Do you think that the 2020 election was stolen? Put it in. You can either put hashtag 2020 stolen or hashtag 2020 not stolen. Because from everything that we've seen, from all the evidence that I'm showing you, we're barely starting to get into the grass. Now that Attorney General Pam Bondi's not there, we got Todd Blanche, we're seeing a lot more stuff. But right here, Minnesota, even when it comes to Minnesota, the fraud, the waste, and the abuse, the Minnesota fraud mastermind, Amy Bach, just revealed, this is the founder of the Feeding Our Futures, revealed that Somali Representative Ilhan Omar knew about the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scandal. All right, so this is her right there. Remember, everybody's feeding all the kids. Make sure to take care of our kids. Sounds noble. Sounds amazing. Golly, we got a lot of people that think the 2020 election was stolen. Dang. Guys, show Richard some love for the 5 gifted TrueLife News memberships, baby. Let's go. Show Richard some love in the chat, guys. Thank you so much, Richard, for your support in gifting those memberships. If you got a free membership from Richard, show him some love in the chat, everybody. Right here, everybody, this is, again, the founder of this whole organization is saying that Representative Ilhan Omar was in on it.
Fox News alert, Ilhan Omar missed Tuesday's deadline for Minnesota Republicans to turn over documents in the Minnesota Feeding Our Futures fraud scandal. Democrats blocked an effort to subpoena the Congresswoman, all as we learned that Omar's name came up 6 times in the case against Amy Bach, the founder of Feeding Our Future. Now, Bach spearheaded the scheme, which stole federal funds intended for children and was convicted of wire fraud, conspiracy, and bribery. Ilhan Omar's name first came up in an email chain with Bach back in February 2021. The subject line read, "Help with USDA food program," and a message to Omar's office. Now, about 2 weeks later, Bach emailed Omar's office with the subject line, "FNS approves Minnesota school PEBT plan." Then 1 day later, Bach exchanged messages with this Feeding Our Future employee who fled the country after he was indicted in 2022. The subject line of their emails was Ilhan's office. And the emails kept flowing after that. In March, Bach emailed Omar's office again about the state's school food program. There were also text messages between Bach and Omar's office, which was uncovered during a raid of Bach's Minnesota house. Now, while we know Omar's office was communicating with a now convicted fraudster, we don't know the contents of those messages or if Omar herself engaged in any wrongdoing. In a jailhouse interview with Fox, this is how Bach described those conversations.
Did you have any conversations with Elon Omar that make you kind of think twice now?
I've never actually spoken to her. I had spoken to members of her office. It was always really general, mostly pertaining to how the Department of Education was handling applications and the approval or denial of those. There was nothing of any substance pertaining to claims or meal counts or fraud or anything like that.
But Omar's ties to Feeding Our Future don't start and end with Amy Bach. She also had close ties with one of the restaurants convicted of stealing $16 million, Safari Restaurant. Back in 2018, she celebrated her primary win at the very spot. And records show she spent nearly $10,000 in campaign funds there between 2018 and 2020. It's over $3,000 a year. The food must be so great to spend that much at a restaurant. And check this out. We unearthed this 2020 video of Ilhan Omar on Somali TV working inside Safari Restaurant. And while she speaks exclusively in Somalian, we were able to make out these words: Pandemic, Meals Act, and Safari Restaurant. The chair of the Minnesota Fraud Committee also revealing Ilhan Omar received donations from several Feeding Our Future defendants. And that last name on the list right there, that's a former staffer for Omar who pled guilty to fraud.
Every single dang step, guys. And again, the thing is we're seeing it. You're seeing it for yourself. This isn't no, hey, guys, it's fraud happening, so just take my word for it. No, we show you the receipts. We're showing you now that this is getting really, really serious for Representative Ilhan Omar. Again, the Feeding Our Future founder is now accusing Omar of enabling the COVID fraud. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Show Randy some love in the chat. 34 years LAPD worked intelligence. When I learned about the inside crooked politicians would make your head spin, I probably would. Guys, y'all show our friend Randy some love in the chat. Thank you so much, Jim Barbato, for your support, brother. Appreciate you so much. PDX67, thank you so much. Mike Hagstrom, Mary Busby. Guys, show them some love in the chat. And again, there's a new representative in Congress that is leading the charge and going through every single state. Remember, J.D. Vance, they are trying to expose as much as possible before the midterms so that way we can get as much leg up to show people we cannot give control back to the people who essentially enabled fraud. Check this out.
Who chairs the task force on defending constitutional rights and exposing institutional abuses. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Your chairmanship has quite the title there. Sorry, it took me a minute to get through it. Listen, I want to go. I want to go to this because I think it's important. President Trump was asked this weekend about some of this Minnesota fraud money making it to terrorist organizations. I'm sorry, it was Vice President Vance. And he seemed almost surprised by that. Are there any stones you're unturning that the administration may not be aware of?
I think we've still got a lot of work to do on the Minnesota front. You know, that's an investigation that was uncovered or that we first found out about a couple months ago, where you have a massive Somali community that has been defrauding taxpayers for many years with Democrats' knowledge in the state. And the reality is, to get money from Minnesota to Somalia, which is where large sums of this defrauded capital was being sent to, you oftentimes have to go through terrorist organizations in Somalia. You can almost think of them as like the gatekeepers into that country. So it makes perfect sense that substantial portions of that money was going to them. And we've got some evidence there. That's something that we're still continuing to look into, because I think that's a huge concern for us. Not only that the money is being defrauded, but that it's going to some of the worst people, frankly, on earth.
Congressman, hey, Jason Chaffetz here. Look, you're doing amazing work. You're one of my favorite people in Congress because you prioritize oversight, and I love that about what you do and how you do it. There is a frustration, though, having been in that seat and having gone through this before, and that is we had DOGE. We have guys like Nick Shirley out doing things, but then you go over to the Appropriations Committee and they keep funding the very things we point out are fraud. So how do we actually, if it were up to me, I'd get rid of the Appropriations Committee. There shouldn't.
Guys, this is why I'm telling you, everybody, when it comes to rooting out the fraud, waste, and abuse, I don't have any confidence in Congress whatsoever. And if you agree with me, guys, share with me in the chat, put hashtag fire Congress. I have no confidence in them whatsoever. Why? Because they talk about it. And then when they're like, oh, we saved $1.4 trillion. What they don't tell you is that they didn't save it all in 1 year. They saved it over 10 years. So when the deficit is $6.5–7 trillion and they saved $140 billion, which is still a lot of money, guys, we're not even, that is like 2% of the entire budget that they saved. Imagine. Just you can't even, you put this in realistic terms of a person who has to manage their own bills, and you tell them, hey guys, like, look, you know, you are spending way overspending. We need you to cut the budget by 50%. And they come and say, all right, we cut it by 2%. Let's go and shout, yay, we did a great job. No, we call them out. I call Mike Johnson out, everybody out. They didn't save us a dang thing when it came to cutting fraud, waste, and abuse. It's all coming from Trump's cabinet, but it's all in Trump's term. If they don't codify these laws, the Democrats will 100% get back their spending and we'll be in more mess. We'll be in $40 trillion of debt before we can breathe. And I'm telling you, I love this. Everybody putting in there, fire Congress. Somebody put delete Congress. Let's go. Our brother Randy. Guys, show proud U.S. Navy veterans some love for 19 months of membership on the TrueLife News family. Let's go, baby. Show them some love in the chat. Thank you so much for your service. Y'all show them some love in the chat. And if you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this to me is like we're at the point where none of this to the average American makes any sense. Because we call it out. We actually tell you what's really going on.
Would be one that should be with the authorizing committees. But short of that, in my dream world, how in the world are you going to codify this in the law and starve the beast so we don't keep having all these fraud stories?
Well, you're exactly right, and there's a lot of frustration with that. Our job with this task force, I think, is to build on the work that DOGE has done. First of all, remember, we didn't even know about the extent of this Medicaid fraud until DOGE made Medicaid payments public about a year ago, and that's where you started to see some of the public reporting done by the Daily Wire and others, and we're building on that work. But in order to stop this from happening, which is the goal, by the way, the goal is not simply to expose institutional abuse or fraud. It's to make sure it doesn't happen again and for the bad guys to be in jail. We're going to use every bit of the investigatory power, which I know you're very well aware of, that the Oversight Committee has. So we have the ability to hold hearings, bring people in, put them under oath, make them answer for what they're doing, to subpoena documents and communications and information, which we're actively doing right now, so that we can build a case against this fraud, against the culprits, that hopefully the DOJ can then take up. We can make criminal referrals. But after that, the goal is for the committee also to make policy recommendations for the broader Republican conference to take up using the information that we've been able to gather through our investigations. And that, I think, is how to use this committee in order to get real policy change to stop this from happening. Because I agree with you, it's not good enough to just expose waste. It's our job to stop it.
Yeah, you're right about that. It'd be nice if some of these states would take an active role as well. I want to turn to this now, Congressman, on this story here. You sit on the House Judiciary Committee, and this week you participated in the hearing on the Fairfax, Virginia's sanctuary policy. You had this heated exchange with prosecutor Steve Exano for giving a legal alien sex offender, Andrew Cortez Mendez, a lenient sentence for those who haven't seen it.
An illegal alien who raped an underage American. Did your office reduce charges against this illegal alien from a felony rape charge to a misdemeanor charge with a 90-day suspended jail sentence, in part because this was an illegal alien in question?
No, this was evidentiary based.
Did it have anything to do with the defendant's immigration status? It's just yes or no.
Well, sir, it was based on the evidence.
I'm asking you, was their immigration status part of the evidence?
I don't believe so.
Yes or no?
And I want to show you a receipt, guys, because again, this stuff is happening all across the United States, and it's some of the most heartbreaking things out there, but you never hear about it. That's the worst part about all this. Look at this individual on the left. Look at these individual on the right. Fletcher Harris and Skylar Provenza were killed by an illegal alien drunk driver in North Carolina. Not a single news outlet reported on it. New York Times, MSNBC, Reuters, Politico, WAPO, Axios, CNN, NPR, PBS. Why? Because it didn't fit the narrative. But it's heartbreaking because these people aren't even supposed to be here. But these young, innocent Americans losing their lives because we have soft on crime policies and we continue to not want to deport the people that aren't even supposed to be here. Make this make sense to me. When again, just like what you're about to hear from Representative Brandon Gill, that 50%, this was DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mollitz, 50% of the murders that happen in Fairfax County are being committed by illegal aliens. Make that make sense, everybody. It makes no sense whatsoever.
He doesn't believe so. That's quite the answer there. Let's dig into this a little bit because there's a lot of frustration, and not only with fraud, but from the American people on these sanctuary policies. And then you have some folks who seem to be going the extra mile for illegal aliens, giving their deportation status extra consideration. What do we need to know about this, and how do we stop it?
Well, first of all, this Descano man, who is the attorney in Fairfax, Virginia, is frankly a very dark and evil person. What he did in this case in particular, which I tried to highlight, was you had an illegal alien who raped an underage American, and instead of bringing felony charges, his office intentionally downgraded charges to a misdemeanor, and the illegal alien received a 90-day suspended jail sentence. We're not exactly sure how much of that 90 days he actually spent in jail. The problem with this, not only was that a bad deal on its own right, but his office, as a matter of policy, told his attorneys to actually change the charges that they bring against illegal aliens, to essentially downgrade them because they didn't want, or they wanted to take into account adverse immigration consequences of whatever charges they brought. So in other words, if an illegal alien had murdered somebody, raped somebody, or stole from a business, for instance, his office would actively take into account the probability that that illegal alien would get deported if they bring, for instance, felony charges against him. And if they thought that probability was high, there was a good chance they were going to reduce charges. That's exactly what it appears he did in this case. It is incredibly evil. It's what the American people are sick of. It makes our streets significantly more dangerous because you have people in our country who shouldn't be here to begin with, who are essentially murdering and raping our own people and getting lesser charges because they're illegal aliens, because they broke the law to get here. So I believe that people like this should face consequences. I think that he should be liable for the crimes that these illegal aliens commit after he essentially lets them out on the streets. But we ought to be defunding sanctuary jurisdictions entirely because the American people are sick of this stuff.
Yeah, sick and tired of it, guys. Y'all show some special love to our boy Andy in the chat, everybody. What a blessing. We thank you so much, brother, for your support. I know he says, Joel, what do we got? President Trump went to China and we got nothing. All we got is 600,000 spy and future Democrats. Yeah, unfortunately, we did get a lot, guys. We did get sales of crude oil. We did get sales of soybean oil, LNG. They did say they would back us with, guys, show PDX67 some love in the chat. Those little cool jewel thingies. We did get some wins with that, but again, we want the best of the best here. And a part of that is making sure that we can get the best, regardless of where they come from, here. One of the things that they talked about, especially when it comes from buying oil from us, is super important. So I'll give them that. Making us more of an oil exporter rather than just a consumer. But I feel you, brother. Y'all show Andy some love in the chat, because listen to this. Again, more things are happening with China, Taiwan, Iran. Guys, I feel like we're about to resume. They're already talking about striking Iran, Israel, and the U.S. together. But we are getting some more money from China, which is a good thing. Listen to this.
Selling the summit as a fantastic win. That's a quote. And that deals are now in motion. But China walked away with its biggest question left unanswered.
Would the U.S. defend Taiwan if it came to it?
I don't want to say. I'm not going to say that. There's only one person that knows that. You know who it is? Me. I'm the only person. That question was asked to me today by President Xi. I said, I don't talk about those things.
He asked you today.
He asked you if you would send troops, if you would. He asked me if I defend them. I said, I don't talk about that.
The headline win from the summit was energy, with Beijing ready to buy more American oil. Watch.
One thing I think that we're going to make a deal on, they've agreed they want to buy oil from the United States. They're going to go to Texas. We're going to start sending Chinese ships to Texas and to Louisiana and to Alaska. And I think that was another thing that was agreed to. That's a big thing.
What about liquefied natural gas?
It's not that much longer.
Gas too?
Yeah, everything. Energy.
Energy.
That's the one thing. They really need energy. That's the one thing. They have an insatiable appetite for energy, and we have unlimited energy.
And there are so many important issues that came out of this summit, but that to me was the most important and the one, Lou, that I was waiting for, given the context of what's happening in the Middle East right now. You want to steer China away and bring them to us where we can manage exactly what's going on. It seems that Xi is amenable to that. However, he said things in the past and then not followed through.
Look, I think we have the framework for a deal. We're talking about banking deals. This is a term sheet, not a transaction. You said the word manage, and I think that's key for Xi. He's managing his risk, his political risk in the Middle East for a critical supply of energy. And I think most encouraging for the U.S. is there's so much upside here. If we look back to when we were exporting to China in 2024, we're doing about 200,000 barrels a day. The peak was about 400,000 barrels a day, and that's only about 4% of China's imports. So we have a lot of room to grow that energy independence into their dependence on us. I think it's smart politically for China. I think it's also smart for the president, right? They're all in, chips are in the middle of the table. He's still not showing all his cards, particularly on Taiwan, because he knows he's got to keep that back in case Xi, like you said, doesn't move forward. Well, how many of these summits and deals and discussions and negotiations come out with headlines and then we don't see anything actually in terms of policy 3-4 weeks
And
later?
that was the one place where Xi flexed a little bit and gave the president a warning, if you will. He's holding that card too. But let's stick with energy for a moment before we move on. Brian, the Strait of Hormuz, still a big issue. Wondering next week what's going to happen with President Trump and his Iran strategy.
And I want to show you this, guys, because I told you it's going down. Look at this. President Trump expected to hold Situation Room meeting to discuss options for military action on Iran. It is going down. We are going to see multiple attacks from everything that I'm seeing on my side with all the leaks that are coming out of Iran and Israel continuing to do what? Attack Iran, because they attacked the UAE and they hit a nuclear plant, guys. That is a huge, huge big deal. This is, I'm telling you, so massive that I hate it. That it's like we're starting the war again, but they continue to do what? Push, 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 push Trump's button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While we're trying to make deals, while we're trying to keep the United States safe, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Should we enter the war again? I asked the chat, I said, do you support Trump resuming strikes on Iran? 97% of people said yes.
With the Strait and also just with that country and its regime in general. It seemed like Xi this week was also saying, I don't want to see the Strait closed, you know,
Right.
As much as China can back us, they are in a, it's like hard for me to even get it out. But you know what I mean? They seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you buy that they're really going to do anything helpful for us in the Strait?
It's hard for me.
I don't. I don't think they will. I think the Strait's I've said a million times in this show, I say it all the time, in and out. Good guys, Iran, no, that's what has to happen to the Strait. I don't think China's going to help us with it. They say...
I don't think they're going to physically help, but they might not hinder. They might not arm the Iranians in a way that might hinder.
Don't they
I'm
have
thinking
to?
more like that.
At some point, they have to. They have to cry uncle because they rely on the Strait more than anyone else.
And China has been telling Iran even before the summit that it was not going to be paying tolls to get oil.
Only so many illegal barrels they can pull off the...
Okay, so that's great. China's not going to get in the way. I'm with all you guys. They're not going to help. They're not going to do bad things. Fine. I don't want Chinese warships in the Strait, just to be clear. If they help, it's like what's the of mice and men, right? Lenny's like petting the mouse and
he breaks the neck.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. If China sends warships into the Strait, it's not good news for us. So I don't want them there. I like this summit. The trade stuff, I think they are going to become more dependent for us in energy, and I think that's great. I think Venezuela is going to be a big part of that, by the way. I think that's good. They said they want to buy more soybeans. I will believe that when they have paid us for the soybeans, okay? The term sheet's not interesting to me because they have signed a lot of term sheets in the past. I think the big win, Jackie, was on Taiwan. I actually really like the president's answer. If that's what he said, and I think he did say, I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it. And what that says is it's not open for discussion. I'm not here to discuss Taiwan with you. I know that you want to. Maybe you're desperate for an answer because your domestic politics needs you to get a win. We're not talking about it. And then Rubio says policy hasn't changed. That, to me, is exactly what you want.
So they're keeping it close to the vest, and they're kind of leaving it there. They don't want any misinterpretation. She said something about the United States, and the president responded to it about how the West is declining. Let's listen to this.
You said that President Xi had made a reference to the decline of the U.S. You said that it was a declining country under Joe Biden. He said we had a seriously declining country, which we did, with people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons and everything else. He said what President Trump has done has been a virtual miracle. It's the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it is.
Take him.
Guys, and I'm telling you, I just got to bring this over because, again, it is this big of what's happening right now in the Middle East. This is, again, breaking news, guys. I hate this because, again, this is the next level. When we're talking about nuclear power, when we're talking about atomic bombs, things that could wipe out cities, millions and millions of people, that's what you're seeing on the screen right here. International Atomic Energy Agency has just issued a notice of grave concern following the drone strike near the UAE nuclear plant. Guys, this is big. Like, nobody wants to see nuclear happen whatsoever. But when you see the IAEA issue a notice of grave concern because nuclear is being involved now, and these drone attacks are attacking these nuclear plants, this is super, super dangerous and super unsafe for a lot of individuals. Here is some more details that just happened. Check this out. They're saying the massive escalation in the Middle East, explosions near Abu Dhabi as the drone strikes fear shake the UAE. Tensions across the Gulf are spiraling fast, and everybody's on high alert. Why? Drone strikes on these nuclear facilities. This is not good, everybody. Because if we get to a point where Iran, we know that they don't have fully enriched uranium, but they got some of it, start adding in some of these attacks and taking it to the next level, this is where it gets really dangerous for a lot of people and could cause a lot of harm. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that Trump would ever launch a nuclear warhead on Iran? That's a big question that a lot of people have always been afraid about, of whether Trump would do it or not. But now, again, here's one image of it. I'm pulling over another one. The reason why we're putting this out, guys, because they've issued some big concerns. A lot of people are being told, exit the area of if you are in close proximity to this, because it is very, very, very dangerous of how this radiation, nuclear, all this could affect everybody. And now that, and again, all this is coming from Iran. So that's where we now know, and again, this is where this makes sense. I'm showing you the receipts, guys. President Trump is going to be resuming talks with Israel. President Trump is expected to hold Situation Room meetings to discuss options for military action on Iran. That's how quick it is, guys, that things are escalating in the Middle East. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Guys, show those that have given some love in the chat. I love seeing the names. Lola Brown, Alice Lewis, Gina, MJ for him, Lynn Martin Green. Love it. Members of the family, show them some love in the chat. And all this, guys, I'm telling you, to me, there's no end in sight for this. We're in the middle of the midterms. People want the wars to the wars to stop, but there's attacks continuing to happen. And all this is still centered around the Strait of Hormuz. I did want to show you this because, again, remember, we were on the pathway to essentially being done with all of this. Look at this right here. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has just announced a group of sailors with the highest rewards in the U.S. military who were riding upon the USS Gerald Ford. The destroyers in the strike group fired the Tomahawk cruise missiles into Iran, provided air defense, shooting down incoming drones. Well, it's returning home. It's coming home after 320 days at sea. But with all these escalations, that's where you're like, do they turn it back around? Do they try to do something to make sure that we don't lose? This is a big, big deal. And I want to show you again. This is being reported by BRICS News. The International Atomic Energy Agency is issuing a notice of grave concern following the drone strikes near the UAE nuclear plant. What do you do, guys? What do you do? I'm at the point now where I'm so irritated with Iran. We want things to end. We want to get past this. But to me, it doesn't look like it's happening, and that we just got to go in and we got to make the hard decision, and we just got to put an end to all of it. Let me know your thoughts, because I don't see an end coming at all when it comes to them and the deals that they want, because they only want nuclear. That's the only thing that they're fighting for. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. If you're watching, if you're not part of the family yet, hit that subscribe button so that we can take care of you every day with the breaking news. And if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up like button. Thank you so much for your support. Guys, this is my thing, and I want to say this really quick. We got Joseph Dawson in the chat. He's expressing his opinion. He's not personally attacking. I don't see any personally attack against me or people in the chat. So guess what? Let's have the conversation. Let's go back and forth. I don't care. You can say anything you want about Trump, but no cussing. No cussing whatsoever. Give your opinion. You can tell him he's wrong. He can tell you you're wrong. No personal attacks against anybody in the chat or against me, or I'll block you. But I do appreciate the dialogue. I do appreciate the debates. I love it. That's what we want to be here for. So, again, we are here to discuss. We're here to give our opinions about what's going on. Again, no personal attacks. And again, I want to say, guys, if you haven't already, please check out this company, Chapter. This is a phenomenal company that I've had the pleasure of spending some time with. They have blessed so many people when it comes to helping them with their Medicare coverage. There's over 24,000 plans out there. There is such complications when it comes to how complex Medicare Part A, Part B, all these things, supplemental, how it affects Social Security, SSI, SSDI. It's just crazy. But I love it that they have the best software, the best people that actually care. I got to talk to so many people that work at Chapter that truly care. So if you're going through any big life change, whether you're moving states, changing jobs, big family changes, call them up. They are going to take care of you. They've helped out thousands of people on this channel. They've saved millions of dollars annually for people on this channel. And I just want to say thank you so much. Their number is 667-895-3015. Show them some love. Guys, they've done a phenomenal job. Tell them that Joel from TrueLife News sent you. This is one thing that, again, I appreciate so much because we want to just continue bringing the best breaking news every single day to all those that are watching. We are here to serve you, everybody. That's our job. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that participates with that, to those that share our videos on X and Facebook. Also want to say thank you to those that give, those that have served in our military or police enforcement. Thank you so much for your support. Show some love, because remember, on the 22nd of every single month, we donate live on stream to a local charity to make sure that we do our part in bringing good into this world. We donate to local children's homes, we donate to crisis pregnancy centers, and we help those less fortunate. Guys, show some special love to Alice Lewis in the chat, OG of the fam. Our girl PDX67, thank you so much for your blessings. Jim Barbado, let's go, brother, with the super chat. Show Jim some love in the chat. And guys, don't forget to show our boy Richard, who has the gifted 5 TrueLife News memberships, in the chat. Thank you so much, Richard, for your support. We are so blessed to have you a part of the family. Guys, show some love to Common Sense Nick in the chat. Let's go, baby. Mary Busby, we appreciate you so much. God bless you. Our boy Mike Hagstrom, member of the family, thank you so much for your support. Al Young, thank you so much for your blessings. Again, Randy OV7M, thank you so much for your support, brother, in today's show. We appreciate you very much, and thank you for your service. Our boy Andy with the super chat, proud U.S. Navy veteran, thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Chiosap, thank you so much for your blessings. Said Byron's leaders and IRG. Guys, give us some love in the chat. Thank you to everybody. Brad Price for being a member for 5 months. Thank you so much too. Proud U.S. Navy veteran who's been a member for 19 months. Guys, y'all are the best. We're here to serve you. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.